Okay, hello everyone. Today we are going to talk about chain list. We are going to start by introducing a chain list and explaining how it functions. After, we are going to explain the principle under the functioning of a chain list, and we are going to finish by a tutorial on which we are going to create a linked list. Sorry for saying chain list every time. A linked list for storing student information. Okay. The first thing you have to note of a chain list is that the chain list is a structure which contains which can contain variable or multiple data types, char, integers, float, a variable data type, and the particularity or the specificity of a chain list is that it will contain a pointer to the next object, to the next element of the list. In our case, the element of a list is a student. As we can see here, um the student 0, let us consider the student 0. The student 0 contains a name, matricule, sex and number of subject. Name, matricule and sex are all characters. As I said earlier, it can contain variable or multiple data types, so it is not obliged that it should contain only integers or characters or strings. It can contain multiple data types. And the pointer to the next object, the last pointer, and the pointer in the structure is actually a link to the next student of the list. So we can see from this little diagram that the pointer next is linking to the student 1, the pointer next, and also the specificity of linked list is that the last element of the list, since it is the last element, it means that there is no element behind it. In our case, it is student 4. Since it is student 4, it means that there is no student 5. It means that there is no use of it means that the appropriate way of ending this list is by giving the default parameter of a pointer, which is the null. When you affect the null to a pointer, it means nothing. Example of the equivalent of null pointer in integers is 0. The equivalent of null pointers in float is 0.00000. The equivalent of null pointer in characters is the null character. I hope we all know how to declare null character. Okay, the next principle of the chain list of the linked list is that if we consider the case that we have already entered the information of student 1, the name, the matricule, the sex and the number, and of student 1, the name, matricule and sex and number, and we want to enter student 1, name, matricule and number, student 2. Once we reach here, if we do not implement a method through which we are going to store the address of the student 0, it means that once we will end with student 4, we will have no means to access the student 0. That's why we implement another structure of the same type, but it will always point on the first object on the first element of the list. In our case, it is student 0. So we are going to implement a structure called f student, meaning first student. It will always point on the next student or the first student of the list, because we know that from the first student of the list we can access all the other elements of the list, as we can see on this little diagram. So we are going to pass to the implementation of this in an appropriate programming language.